Welcome to this installment of World Soccer Talks Tactics Corner. I am your host, Earl Reed. We will be talking in this episode about the Netherlands 2-1 victory over Mexico, where the Dutch scored two late goals from Wesley Sneijder and Klaas-Jan Huntelaar to overcome the early deficit from the Mexicans. Let's take a look at the early tactics. There were also some nice tactical switches in this match, and that helped influence the outcome. If you look at the Netherlands to start, a 4-4-2 diamond formation is different than the five-man back line that they had done early on in this tournament. You see Dirk Kuyt come in. They wanted to rest Bruno Martins Indy, and so they went to this four-man back line, still with Arjen Robben and Robin van Persie as a two-forward setup. Let's move on to Mexico now. Mexico staying with their five-man back line, 5-3-2 if you will, still with Uribe Peralta and Giovanni Dos Santos as a support striker on this. Now I wanted to just highlight the matchups and pretty much show you that for the Netherlands, at least in the early tactical lineup, you would see that things are in pretty good shape. You got two guys on Peralta in Villar and De Vries. You have Dos Santos covered by Jong. And generally you have one-on-one matchups, only leaving Rafa Marquez as the only guy who's the furthest from goal that's really not marked. So all in all, a good setup. But one thing that we did notice going early on is that the Netherlands really sank back. And I think the reason why, if you look, I'll push Mexico up here into the attack phase, at least the most attacking players for them. And it seemed like the Netherlands were really scared about these players getting in behind and possibly causing problems. So they really condensed into almost a what appeared to be a seven-man back line at times in this, just at about 30 yards from goal. And so when players would make their runs, there would be ample coverage to mark them behind and just try to clog up the lanes which players could use. Let's keep this going. So when you would look at this, you would see basically the three men up front for the Netherlands, and you would then see this big line of guys trying to fend off the Mexico, the tactical runs from Mexico. But what ended up happening for the Netherlands, which put them in a bind, was Nigel de Jong came off in the 9th minute. And so Louis van Gaal had to do a little bit of a tactical switch. And so he had to bring Martins Indy on, which he didn't really want to do. And what they ended up doing is reverting back to the five-man back line that it did before, but they needed to have... Dirk Kuyt is not a guy you can move back, and they really didn't have anybody to do that. They could have moved another guy like Ron Vlaar up to play that role, but Van Gaal decided to move Daley Blind into that defensive midfield role and played Dirk Kuyt as a winger in the five-man system. And so, I drew some lines here. So, you see basically a matching 5-3-2 from what Mexico was playing in this, although it was admittedly a little bit askew. I mean, actually, if you want to look at it, it's similar to what Mexico had in that Sneijder is advanced to cover Salcido, excuse me. So we can look at the matchups here, but I wanted to just circle the problem that the Netherlands ended up having after this switch. You now have three guys marking Peralta, which is fine, but you also leave Daley Blind in a bind, which is that he has to cover both Herrera and Dos Santos in this, because you still have Kuyt covering Aguilar and all the other matchups you have. And really that was where the Netherlands went wrong, and that allowed Gio Dos Santos to get free to score the first goal early in the second half, because Blind was in this sort of quandary where he had to mark two guys while you had these three defenders back there. So Van Gaal ended up making another change, which really ended up, I think, causing the Mexico the big problems, and that is he took Verhey off in the 56th minute and brought on Memphis Depay, a left winger, and that completely shifted the tactics of the team. You saw Depay move up to the left wing, Kout over to right back, and you went back to this four-man back line. That also necessitated a couple other changes. Robin, who had stayed mostly on the left as a left forward, moved to the right. Van Persie moved central, and then so now you have a 4-3-3, which was extremely potent after this switch. And so Miguel Herrera decided to make a change himself. In the 61st minute, he brought out Gio dos Santos, who scored the goal, and brought on Aquino, a right midfielder, and Mexico decided to pack it in and get very defensive. 5-4-1, if you will. At various points later in the half, you saw both forwards get switched out, Peralta for Chicharito and Van Persie for Huntelaar, but I believe it was this change in Mexico overall trying to play defensive and hold the one-goal lead while Van Gaal went after it with Depay that allowed the 2 goals from the extended pressure to cause Mexico to succumb. And the Netherlands are through 2-1. And this has been Tactics Corner. We'll look later on in this round. We should have another video out. Appreciate your time, and we hope you enjoy your football.